from the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Happy Monday, everyone. I'm not on mute. It's Monday, August 23rd, 2021. Good morning. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. I hope everyone had a magnificent, relaxing, exciting weekend. Let me know where you're tuning in from, our global audience that tunes into this show daily. We're live 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday right here on your favorite streaming and social media networks. Make sure to check us out there. Or if you can't watch us live, make sure to go and follow the CyberHub podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform. You can find us on Apple, Google, Spotify, or any one of the other and many exciting podcast platforms. Make sure to subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating. Boosts us right up. Tomorrow, 11 a.m., myself and the legend, Roger Grimes, with the Hacking MFA webinar. No PowerPoints, no BS. We're going to talk about how to properly deploy and defend against these types of how to properly deploy and defend MFA within your organization. You don't want to miss it. Make sure you subscribe. It's in the show notes. The link is right there. You can get it. You can watch it on demand, even if you can't attend. So make sure you do that and share it with people within your organizations that deploy MFA. They definitely want to be a part of it. We'll have a live Q&A with Roger at the very end. So stay tuned for that as well tomorrow. Now, without further ado, let's get right into today's show. But before we do that, a shout out to our sponsors, KnowBe4 and Ativo Networks. Thank you so much for your support. And now, a tradition on this show. Coffee cup cheers, folks. My double espresso, whatever you're drinking, let us know in the comments. I'd love to know what y'all are drinking this morning. Cheers. All right, let's get right into it. Cisa is warning organizations of a proxy attack on Exchange servers. So over the weekend, the folks over at the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency issued an alert to warn malicious actors actively exploiting the recently disclosed Microsoft Exchange vulnerability named ProxyShell. It's tracked as CVE 2021-34473, 34523, 31207. The ProxyShell bugs can allow an attacker to execute arbitrary code on a victim system. By chaining the flaws, attackers are able to run code remotely without even authenticating. Microsoft has patched two of, in fact, all three have been patched. However, some are still vulnerable. CISA is strongly urging organizations to identify vulnerable systems within their network and immediately apply Microsoft security updates from May 2021, which remediates all three ProxyShell vulnerabilities to protect against these attacks. Every time we disclose a vulnerability anywhere, someone out there is trying to take advantage of it, folks. Keep your eye out for that. We'll move to our next story, where a cybercrime group is asking insiders for help in planting ransomware. Now, Lockbit issued something very, very similar several weeks ago before they started their wave of ransomware attacks. But here, a Nigerian threat actor has been observed attempting to recruit employees by offering them to pay $1 million in Bitcoins to deploy Black Kingdom ransomware in company's network as part of an insider threat scheme. The sender tells the employees that if they're able to deploy the ransomware on the company computer or Windows servers, they would be paid $1 million in Bitcoin, or 40% of the presumed $2.5 million ransom, according to Abnormal Security. The employees told they can launch the ransomware physically or remotely. The sender provides two methods to contact them if the employee is interested: an Outlook email account and a Telegram user name. Here's where this is interesting, folks, and here's why I think this story is really, really significant. Okay, what they're doing is we're doing such a good job training. We're doing such a good job addressing the human factor. They're now going after pure greed, and their target at the end of this is to specifically gain access by getting an insider to do all the dirty work. There's a few things here that we have to be very aware of as practitioners. This isn't the first time I see it. It's now the second or third, meaning this is working somewhere. It's working because so many people are trying. Here's the thing about cybercrime. They communicate much better than we do as defenders. They just do. And when something works, it spreads like wildfire, meaning somewhere out there, there are insiders within our organizations that are actively being pursued to not click a link through a phishing scam, but to actually make money off of helping them launch a ransomware attack. So there's a few things. One, update your awareness training, send out a memo, talk about it. Number two, identify your permission level access for your employees. Are you giving some people more access than they should? Should you start looking at a privileged access management type of environment? Should you look at conditional access is another one, okay? And finally, when you recognize a disgruntled employee, address it right away. Address it. Talk to HR, talk to legal, talk to the person's supervisor across the entire company. Keep an eye out for disgruntled employees who may be likely to be in this position. Also, employees who might need a cash bailout. They're in financial trouble, something set them apart, their family needs the money. They might be the ones to make this type of deal and this mistake. That could be fatal, folks. This is a crime. Good morning to our LinkedIn user. Thank you for being here. I will get to comments here shortly. Folks, I promise we have a very, very busy show today. LockFile ransomware uses PetitPotam attacks to hijack Windows domains. We've been talking about the PetitPotam NTLM relay attack method for quite some time. Now a new ransomware gang called LockFile, which was first seen in July, is behind the attacks. LockFiles has been recorded mostly in the US and Asia. Its victims include organizations and financial services, manufacturing, engineering, legal, business services, travel, and tourism. Security researchers at Symantec said the actors' initial access on the network is through a Microsoft Exchange server, but the exact method remains unknown at the moment. Symantec notes in a blog post that the ransom note from LockFile is very similar to one used by LockBit. So very, very similar. Could be the same person operating at the end of that, or just could be a template. Further, it looks like the new gang also makes a not-so-subtle reference to the Conti gang and the contact email address that they leave for the victims. If you were to speculate about the choice of email domains, you could say that LockFile looks like the project of the disgruntled Conti affiliate that leaked the gang's attack book. There's gaps in the attack chain, according to Symantec. In the last stage of the attack, 20 to 30 minutes before deploying the ransomware, the threat actor proceeds to take over the domain controller by installing on the compromised Exchange server the PetitPotam exploit and two files, Active Desktop Render and Active Desktop Launcher. The legitimate Kogu Active Desktop Launcher is abused to perform a DLL hijacking attack to load the malicious DLL to evade detection by security software. One more thing to keep your eye out on this morning, folks. Good morning to Matt Lee. Thanks for being here, buddy. ShadowPad malware is becoming a favorite choice of Chinese espionage group. So ShadowPad, which is an infamous Windows backdoor that allows a attacker to download further malicious modules or steal data, has been put to use by at least 5 different Chinese threat clusters since 2017. The adoption of ShadowPad significantly reduces the cost of development and maintenance for threat actors, according to SentinelOne researchers. The American cybersecurity firm dubbed ShadowPad a masterpiece of privately sold malware in Chinese espionage, a successor to PlugX and a modular malware platform since 2015. ShadowPad capulates widespread attention in the wake of supply chain incidents, including Netzerang, CCleaner, and ASUS, leading the operators to shift tactics to update their defensive measure with advanced anti-detection persistence. The obfuscated shellcode loader goes into the crypt. There's a plugin config install. There's an online TCP, UDP, DNS, HTTP, and folks, that's how they're in. Morning to David. Most recently, attacks involving ShadowPad have signaled out organizations in Hong Kong, as well as critical infrastructure in India, Pakistan, and other Central Asian countries. Although primarily attributed to APT-41, the implant is known to be among several Chinese espionage actors like Tick, Red Echo, Red Foxtrot, and a few more. Keep your eye out for this one. I would actually share this with your SOC team, share it with your incident response team, have them kind of keep an eye out for it. If you're being targeted by it, you know where it's coming from, and that allows you to, in fact, investigate better your cyber incident. China is heavily after their Belt and Road Initiative. If you missed it and you want to understand more of it, a few Fridays ago, not this last Friday, but the Friday before last, I had on Charity Wright. She's a threat intel researcher, and she specializes in China, spent time at the NSA. Now she's in the private market. We talked a lot about China on that one. You can go to our YouTube channel or on my profile right here and check it out. You don't really give it a listen. It's really worth it for you to understand how to defend and what the Chinese are going after, so you know how to defend your organization better, especially if you're doing business in China or in one of the nations around China that China could have an interest in using your organization. Good morning to the magnificent David Vaughn. How are you doing, good sir? Happy Monday. Two more stories, folks, before we wrap up today. I know it's a loaded show. CISA issues guidance on protecting data from ransomware. So CISA has issued a bunch of guidance and a new fact sheet. But here's the thing, CISA. No offense. Really appreciate what y'all do. Here's what the agency says. Organizations should maintain offline encrypted backups of all their data and ensure to have a cyber incident response plan in place. They should also patch vulnerabilities in all internet-facing assets, audit their environments for misconfigurations, implement appropriate phishing protections, and practice good overall cyber hygiene. That's a lot for any organization. A lot. Especially when we talk about most victims of ransomware are small to mid-sized companies. So let's start off with a few very important things. One, you should have an offline encrypted backup. Most small to mid-sized companies either have an in-house IT person or use an MSP. Ask them, do they have encrypted cold backups, and how often do they back up? And that shouldn't be something they determine. That should be something you decide on, meaning could you go, if you had a month of information missing, could you still run your business? If the answer is no, then you should bring that down. It's going to cost you a little bit more, but you're going to want to have that there. Is it a week? Is a week enough? Wonderful. So make it a week. That's number one when it comes to backups. Cyber incident response plans. You can find those online. They're not very, very complex. Most incident response plan is just literally a role play. Who goes where, who does what, and how fast do they get it done? When it comes to patching, is your MSP patching right away? If they're not, hold them accountable. Is your IT team patching? What do they need in order to successfully patch? Do you need to have different environments? Get the basics out there. If you're looking for misconfigurations, study those. Look at your different environments. Sometimes you don't know a misconfiguration until it's too late. Get third parties or open a bug bounty program that might help you find those. That way you're only paying for what they find. Look at phishing protections, and that means training. That also means, like, for example, in Microsoft 365, if you get their upgraded, their E3 or E5 program, you get safe links, safe attachments. That's one way of doing it. And overall cyber hygiene. Talk about security. Develop a security culture. That's also very, very important. Okay. Matt Lee says, oh, the basics, though. Indeed, basics. But SMB are usually unable to handle all of this. Indeed, that's why simplify it, break it down, make it simpler for them. The simpler it is, the better. Finally, our final story for the day. Cloudflare says it mitigated one of the largest DDoS attacks involving 17.2 million RPSs. The attack, which was launched via a Mirai botnet, is said to have targeted an unnamed customer in the financial industry last month. Within seconds, the botnet bombarded the Cloudflare edge with over 330 million attack requests. The company noted at one point reaching a record high of 17.2 million requests per second, making it 3 times larger than the previously reported HTTP DDoS attack. In this specific incident, the traffic originated from more than 20,000 bots in 125 countries worldwide, with almost 15% of the attacks originating from Indonesia, followed by India, Brazil, Vietnam, and the Ukraine. What's more, the 17.2 million RPS alone accounted for 68% of the average RPS rate of legitimate HTTP traffic processed by Cloudflare in Q2 of 2021 all by itself. Well done, but DDoS, it ain't going anywhere. It's still around even now. Folks, that is huge, huge, huge indeed, Mount. That's absolutely. Matt says they need the business to allow the patching windows when a lot willfully ignore the risk and say business uptime is more important indeed. But that's where I think we need to change a little bit of the work week, right? And kind of like understanding, like maybe we set Friday afternoons to patch stuff. Maybe we do it Sunday evenings. I don't know. There's stuff that can be done if we only want to. Folks, that's it for our Practitioner Brief today. I'll be back tomorrow right here at 9 a.m. Don't miss out. Hacking MFA. Go check it out. Sign up now tomorrow at 11 a.m. with Roger Grimes. You don't want to miss it. We're going to be showing how to hack MFA. We're going to be talking about how to secure MFA. We're going to be answering your questions. It's going to be epic. Other thing, CISO Talk Shorts. Guys, love the podcast. It's long, but I've got a new playlist on YouTube on CyberHub podcast called CISO Talk Shorts. It's 2 to 3 minutes of, it's about 5-6 segments from every episode. They're about 2 to 3 minutes long. You can go check them out. I'm sure you guys are going to love it. I had Arvind Raman on. He's the CISO over at Mitel last week. Go check it out. You don't want to miss it. I'll be back with a lot more tomorrow. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your Monday and stay cyber safe. Cheers, folks.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and